systems.
Have you seen the duplication of organics, versus inorganics in there?
That is a very interesting question, and I can't answer it without telling a really different story. So I'm going to have to pass on that one. I apologize.
So the short answer is yes?
What's that?
The short answer is yes?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Anybody familiar with Lee Skellman?
Yeah.
He wrote an interesting little pamphlet. It was called Animal, Vegetable, and Mineral Life. And everybody thinks it's a typo because it's animal life and vegetable life, and then we've got minerals. But then I started getting really deep into alchemy. Let me demystify alchemy really quick. Alchemy is the study of finding the seed of life of something, anything, whether it be an element or a mineral, whether it be gold or platinum or whatever. Alchemy is discovering the seed of life of something, finding the soil in which it's going to grow, and putting them together and cultivating them. So whether that means I'm going to find the seed of life of gold and put it together in the soil that it's going to grow in, let's say tin, and then cultivating and letting it grow with heat and multiplying my gold, that's one element of alchemy. Whether that's an idea in a fertile mind and putting it into, and cultivating it with proper thoughts, proper energy, and directed action, and creating a new reality, that's alchemy. So what Lee Skellman was talking about is saying, we're going to find the seed of life of a mineral. We're going to find what it grows in, and that's what the pamphlet's about. He was talking about magnetic fields and making it grow. So, and that pamphlet was all about alchemy, but most people think it's just kind of the ramblings of a very eccentric person. So the short answer is yes. The short answer is we have seen organic life grow in here. How that is measured is a little bit, it's harder to quantify. So that's my reticence there.
Have we gone through all the materials and the specs on the design? Are we ready to talk about?
Let me just show real quick here. This is a very, I like this way of putting power into it. This is a bolt, or excuse me, this is a pipe threaded fitting through the wall of the vessel, and I put a bolt in here, a stainless steel bolt, and welded it on the end so that I get a completely sealed threaded insert that I can put electricity in and come out on the inside. So that's something that's really important. I struggled for a very long time to figure out how to put an electrode through with washers and such that aren't going to break down over time and that are not going to suffer from the expansion and contraction as this thing heats up and cools off. And this is the best system that I've found to do it. The only other system is to use that I like is to use this as an electrode, which I do on the other machines. But this is a little bit different way to do it. So I like this way. You put a bolt through and you weld it on, and then thread that in place, and then you've got a contact inside that you can run your electricity off of.
And so this is just a regular connection here, just a nut.
This is a stainless steel bolt that's run through, and I just put on the wires with two bolts and tighten them down together. The reason why I put this glue in place there is because I have experienced over time these bolts, these nuts that have been threaded onto the bolt. Over time, as they heat up and cool off, they can loosen up, and then you get a little tiny spark in there, and you got hydrogen right here. Little tiny spark from the contacts, and boom. So that's why I put the glue in place there, so that it can't wiggle loose and spark.
What kind of glue?
That's once again the plumbing goop. That's great stuff. I use tubes and tubes of that.
And that's what is called commercially plumbing goop.
Yes, that's what it's called.
Okay.
It's called
Same thing to
goop. It's in the purple. It's in the purple tube. What's that? Yeah. You can't use it for sealing completely. You cannot use it to just seal the lid in place. I've tried that, doesn't work. You have to use the Teflon, you have to use something to hold it pressurized like this. Bolt it together, pressure holding it together. You cannot just use a solvent to hold it unless you're using like here. This is just solvented on the pipe onto the lid, or the cap rather. But that's 4 inches of solvent, and it's really strong. So that's good. But an inch of solvent, or half an inch of solvent or half an inch of glue won't hold things together. You have to seal it with compression.
What about these fittings right here?
These are conventional CPVC fittings. You buy them at Walmart, or Home Depot.
With Teflon fittings.
I use regular Teflon pipe tape to thread that in place. And they have a maximum. Their maximum heat is about 180 degrees. But if you're running 180 degrees here, something's wrong. So you don't want to go that high.
What about the fitting on the bottom?
The fitting on the bottom is just the same deal. It's just gone out sideways.
Any reasons for the diameter that you're using there? It looks like it's about a 1/4 inch, or almost half inch.
Yeah, half inch. I think these are. I think it's 3/4 inch NPT. It's just stuff I had laying around.
Okay.
I could use smaller. I'll dispel. It's not really a myth, but it's a conception that says you need huge huge diameters to run your gas through. You can run 20 liters a minute through a 1/4 inch pipe, and I haven't seen any significant drop, or I haven't seen any significant difference between using a large pipe or a small pipe to run your hydrogen through. So I don't think you need a huge pipe. In the beginning, I was using 1 inch diameter hose to run my hydrogen to the engines and such, because I thought that I needed to. Then I started doing some experiments, because that's kind of what I was told. So I started doing some experiments, and I proved out that I didn't need to. I could use a 1/4 or 3/8 inch diameter hose like you see here, and do it just fine. So.
Do you have your own spectrograph?
What's that?
Do you have your own spectrograph?
I have a friend who developed a detection technology that is without par. Okay, it is amazing technology. He can scan the moon. Okay, he has revolutionized shipwreck discoveries. You can get on a boat, tune in for whatever he's looking for, whether it be gold or jewels from a Spanish galleon or something like that, and they can drive their boat to it, send divers down, and they're right on every time. So, and it's a really beautiful little detection technology. This is a little device about yay big, and they detected thorium and cesium landing in the mountains of Utah from Fukushima. So, yeah, that was kind of freaky.
So that little box with the angle of the divining rods go with it?
I don't think he uses divining rods anymore.
Fitzgerald?
No.
Okay.
So basically dialing any element on the periodic chart?
Any element on the planet. He gave it to the police department in Salt Lake City. They dial in the chemical compound of methamphetamine, drive to a meth lab. So he sent 2 of them to Iraq. They're not quite as user-friendly as the military would like to have, so they're not asking for more. But basically, guys that were well trained on them and were very good with using them could tell from a distance of 5 miles where an improvised explosive device was located. And they could tell the guys, you're going to go forward 300 yards and you're going to go to your right, and you'll find it there buried 2 feet underground, that type of thing. So the technology is without par. Yeah, it's amazing stuff. It's like having a tricorder from Star Trek. Okay, like
Yeah, I met somebody down in the Mount Pleasant, Utah area who's passed away now, who had developed a technology like that.
Not Robert. Was it Robert?
No,
Okay.
I can't remember his name.
All right.
It's in my address book. He passed away about 2 years ago.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, should we talk now about we've talked about assembly and what's involved. What about operation, how to run it?
Operating these is fairly simple. You want to put, of course, you put voltage in at some point. Now, what I believe from the experiments and the things that I've seen so far, what I believe is that a pulsed frequency device will drop out the elements that are there. a DC device will multiply the elements that you seed it with. I could be completely wrong on this, and I'm challenging people to try and figure out, the nature of this. I mean, here we are, Nikola Tesla. We're going to throw the AC motor out there, and how many people can find new applications for it? Here we are. We've got a hydrogen element dropper outer multiplier, and go out and find out the ramifications about it, because this is brand new and anyone can do it. I mean, as you can see, it's not difficult. You put voltage across, and I just use usually I use solar panels. Sometimes I'll hook it up to my DC power supply. I'll plug DC power into here, so I can let it run for a week straight instead of on and off every day.
And you get the same result. It doesn't care where the DC's coming from. Okay.
It does not care. It's just the solar panel's free. So you put it on there, and
the reason I ask that is because we might think it's all the same by our measurement detection, but there could be other things going on that we're not aware of. Radiant energy flows over the wires, not through them, for example.
That's right.
And
if you want something to flow, you call a plumber, not an electrician. Energy flows around it, not through it. You're absolutely right. We have actually discovered a distinct difference between a solar panel voltage and a lead-acid battery voltage and a lithium-ion voltage. Don't ask me to describe it. It's a little bit outside of where I'm comfortable talking about, because it moves into the marriage of esoteric energies and science. So it's very interesting. Yeah.
Very basic. Pro and con against which one?
I am not a fan of lithium-ion. I do not like it. I can go into the environmental impacts of it. You are less impacting the environment by driving a Hummer than you are by driving a Prius. Okay, because of the lithium-ion and the environmental impact of making the batteries.
And disposing of the batteries.
And disposing of the batteries. Thank you. Yes.
But are they supposed to be recyclable?
What's that?
They're supposed to be recyclable.
Yes, but just making them is incredibly harmful.
The mining of them?
Mining of it, the manufacturing process, the whole thing.
But if you're replicating the minerals, the lithium and the ion using this, then what?
Well, then we're looking at we have the ability now to mine the ocean. We have the ability now to manufacture the elements that we need. All we need is water and energy and a seed. So the seed of life, finding where it will grow and encouraging it to do so. So perhaps then things will change, but we don't like the lithium-ion. There's aluminum in lithium-ion battery systems. This is going to get really esoteric, so if you guys don't like it on the video, go ahead and fast forward now. But there was a woman making the rounds in the Prophecy Club about 20 years ago that could kill rats using carbon dioxide gas. She demonstrated this many times on stage. She could kill rats using carbon dioxide gas, lay her hands over them, and bring them back to life. Many people witnessed this. She just blessed them and brought them back to life. There's one criteria. There could not be any aluminum within 100 feet of where she was working. If there was, she couldn't bring them back to life. One time, they thought they found all the aluminum in the area that she was demonstrating this, and she was praying, and they weren't coming back to life. She was praying and blessing them, and they found one little strip of aluminum on a label underneath a table. And she grabbed the rats, ran out into the field, knelt down and prayed over them, and they all came back to life. So I'm not a fan of aluminum. Now, I'm not that crazy. I'm not crazy, but that intense about it, because hey, I'm not bringing rats back to life. But aluminum, when I did my research into the Bible code, aluminum was one of the few metals that had absolute injunctions against using. There were a couple of the noble metals too, actually. Osmium was really bad, and which one? I want to say it wasn't. I want to say ruthenium, but I'm not certain. But when I studied that, what's that?
Well, go ahead. I was just going to ask what would be an aluminum substitute, since you're using aluminum in this setting.
I'm not using any aluminum.
Aren't you? Oh, I'm sorry.
Not a single. He wrote an interesting little pamphlet. It was called Animal, Vegetable, and Mineral Life. And everybody thinks it's a typo because it's animal life and vegetable life, and then we've got minerals. But then I started getting really deep into alchemy. Let me demystify alchemy really quick. Alchemy is the study of finding the seed of life of something, anything, whether it be an element or a mineral, whether it be gold or platinum or whatever. Alchemy is discovering the seed of life, organic life grow in here. How that is measured is a little bit, it's harder to quantify. So that's my reticence there.
Have we gone
we'll
through
see.
all the materials and the
Okay.
specs on the design? Are we ready to talk about?
Let me just show real quick here. This is a very, I like this way of putting power into it. This is a bolt, or excuse me, this is a pipe threaded fitting through the wall of something, finding the soil in which it's going to grow and putting them together and cultivating them. So whether that means I'm going to find the seed of life of gold and put it together in the soil that it's going to grow in, let's say tin, and then cultivating and letting it grow with heat and multiplying my gold, that's one element of alchemy. Whether that's an idea in a fertile mind and putting it into, and cultivating it with proper thoughts, proper energy, and directed action.
We've seen the duplication of organics, versus inorganics in there.
That is a very interesting question, and I can't answer it without telling a really different story. So I'm going to have to pass on that one. I apologize.
So
Let's
the short
find
answer
out.
is yes?
What's that?
The short answer is yes?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Anybody familiar with Leeds Gallman?
Yeah.
And creating a new reality, that's alchemy. So what Leeds Gallman was talking about is saying, we're going to find the seed of life of a mineral. We're going to find what it grows in, and that's what the pamphlet's about. He was talking about magnetic fields and making it grow. So, and that pamphlet was all about alchemy, but most people think it's just kind of the ramblings of a very eccentric person. So, the short answer is yes. The short answer is we have seen